Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I greet you with honor and blessings that you deserve from the infinite creator. I am your humble host, Mr. David Null, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers. And I'm trying a different format right now. I don't know if I'll be able to see anybody's, um, if they're in the chat room or not. Google changed everything on my computer. So it's like, now I got to start over and learn how to do this thing all over again. Okay, fine. But now I'm trying a different format in YouTube, and now I can't see the chat room. So bear with me, y'all. All right. I want to talk about this because I think it's really important. It's one of them angel messages, if you followed me, that you know what I'm talking about here. And now, in this crazy time of year, and all these extra energies in the universe and so forth, and it being Christmas time and Thanksgiving and Black Friday and Cyber Monday and blah, blah, blah. But people are already going crazy. They're already going nuts. And I might think to myself, many of these people are Christians and folks and people that I know, and not necessarily viewers per se, but just folks I know in general and over the years. And they're posting all these things on Facebook accounts and so forth, and all the great deals they've got and everything. And these folks, are professed to be Christian folk. And it's that they deserve what they deserve, and nobody else is equal to them. But at the same time, they profess that, oh, in this new age, we're all going to be equal. I don't think some of these people actually have an idea of what it means to be equal to another person in all ways, shape, or form. Doesn't matter if you're taller or shorter or white or black or, and there are folks that have gotten into I want to say maybe like a not a middle age, a middle income bracket mentality where certain things are like you have to have. And that, well, that homeless person or whatever, and that so many people just get ignored, and for the wrong reasons. But I watch these folks and I think they talk a good bit about equality, but when it comes right down to equality itself, then they fall up short with, well, if they're equal to me if we agree on this, or they're equal to me if we're all in the same income bracket, or we're equal in ways if we all have a certain IQ, or we're equal if we're all black or white or green or yellow or purple. I don't care. But the thing is that, when I watch what people discuss as equality between people, I have to ask this simple question. Really? Do you really know what equality means? Do you know what the Jesus idea and the Christ consciousness of being equal is? Do you understand what Buddha meant by saying all people were equal? Can we really practice it? Now, I have some close friends of mine and dear friends, and it was odd that just today I had visits from two separate people, and was very glad for both of their uh, visits. But one entailed something where I gave something away, and the second visit entitled someone bringing me something as a present. And I was like, wow, I gave freely, and then somebody replaced it. And it was like, that was the last thing that I expected. And it happened within hours of it. And so it's like, there is an equality that we feel with some of us old timers, and not just old timers, but I say some of us Southerners down here in South Georgia, and those of us who really have that Southern gentleman in us, and we're proud of it, by the way, and that in that we can see equality within each other. But I look at other folks and some of these new age folks, and it's like they're arguing amongst themselves. So how can we have the discussion that everybody is equal if everybody is arguing amongst themselves about this and that and the other thing and blah, blah, blah? And it's like, but everybody is trying to achieve a higher spiritual awareness. But at the same time, these same people, it seems to me, it's just an observation, that at the same time, it's questionable whether or not they really feel equality towards all people. Now, I'm not talking about the migrants that are trying to storm the bastions of our southern borders. It's not what I'm talking about. Now, these people, you got to admit, if anybody wanted to come into our country legally, they wouldn't be blocking bridges and storming the walls and testing our security and putting anyone in danger at all. If they are trying to climb the wall and do these different things, they're not trying to get in our country on a legal basis. They're trying to push it. And I got to just simply ask, I'll give somebody a chance. I've talked about all the illegal Mexicans I've known here in South Georgia over the many years I've been here. And the fact that they'd, every 6 months they'd go across the border illegally, coming back, and it's like they all had to pay the coyote. They all had to suffer the tortures of being lost in the desert for a week with no, running out of water and provisions, and horrible things, and people dying and family members being stranded, and oh my God. And it's like this stuff has been happening for a long time. And now it's one thing for some folks to be, straggling across, a desolate area of the southern border. It's another for a bunch of folks to be storming anything on our southern border. If they all want to camp at the border and do something different, but these folks have the intent of invading us, and that's different. Now, I know that this argument is going on right now, and people will say, well, those people are equal too. We should just let them in. No, we shouldn't. There's protocol. Should all people be treated equally? Yes, but when people are trying to start a fight and block and do these things that these folks, these quote migrants are doing, immigrants or whatever you want to say, you have to ask, what is their true intent? Is their true intent to come and migrate into the United States, or is their true intent to come and attack us and try to take over and force us into taking them? Not the same thing. So in that respect, they don't think they think they're better than us and that they can force their way into our country. They're not thinking equality right there. They've already got a skewed version of what this is supposed to be about. I demand that you give me what I deserve. And it's like, well, hang on, what have you done to deserve anything? Well, I'm a human being, therefore you owe me. And that's not good enough. Now, in this new age idea of equality, the equality comes when everybody treats the other person with equality. If somebody's just going to sit around and let everybody else do the work, and you bring me a drink and you bring me a fan and no, that's because you're not being equal. So the equality comes when you show respect to other people, that you can be respectful in treating other people with respect. You treat others with equality, they will treat you with equality. But already there's so much dissension between people that how can you expect to go into this golden age and think, well, I know we're all going to be equal. But every one of us has a different idea of what equality means. So if you're now look, I'm not trying to put blame on anybody on their social status or whatever. Not my point, but my point is there are social norms and statuses within our collective planetary societies. There's the Chinese society, the Indian society, there's African, okay, you get what I mean. There's South American, Mexican type of culture. And that culture is fine. And we should leave the cultures intact, except if I was to try to immigrate to Mexico, I would be expected to learn basic Spanish. I would be expected to be able to follow Mexican law. And these people who are coming across the border, they expect to be treated more than equally. They want more than that. And I'm sorry, we're supposed to give in to that. come legally, do it right, show that you're not going to try to, create a nuisance when you come. You wish to be treated equally, so therefore you should respect us as we should respect you. And these people already are not showing respect. Just my point of view. But if you look at the situation, you think, well, wait a minute, why are these people climbing a wall? If they want our help, why are they trying to invade us? Why are they climbing the wall? Why won't they go through why? Because they have a different intent. Now, the poor little old ladies in line with kids or grandchildren, okay, put them first in line. And you say, well, why would you do that? Well, because they may be suffering the worst, and they may be the ones that should get asylum. Now, but they're also going to be a burden on the rest of us. And now you would say, well, now, Hawkeye, is that being equal? You accept an old lady and a young child into the country, give them help, give them food, shelter, clothing, whatever they need. What about those of us who are born in America? What about me? And I mean myself. Some of these immigrants and migrants get more money per month than I do. I was born here, raised here, worked here, paid my taxes here, and an immigrant who's never been in the United States gets 3 to 4 times more per month than I do. Is that equal? Okay, so give them a stipend to help them out. All right, I would go for that, but you're going to give them more money? You're going to give them better benefits than someone who's paid taxes their entire life? That's not equal. So there are a lot of things we need to look at as far as what does this equality mean. But there are folks in the middle class, and God love them, they're in the middle class. I was almost in the middle class once. But, I've been in the lower class because of financial reasons all of my life. The South has never been one to be like high wages, but I like it down here. I bought my place. I made do. And sure, I wished I could have made more money, and I tried. And under the circumstances, I did pretty damn well under the circumstances down here in the South. So I'm not blaming anybody, but I am blaming, government for us losing our jobs, and that the folks in South Georgia who used to be middle class and were equal in that, all of a sudden that was taken away. So now these people who used to be middle class are now lower class or just damn right poor. And it's like, well, hang on now. These people understand what equality means now. Oh, I used to live in a $250,000 home. Now I rent from somebody in an old frame house because that's the best I can afford. And I know people like this. And it's like, what a shame. You had a fine brick three-bedroom house with a large living room and dining room and a 2-car garage, and now you're living in a rental house. What? But where's the equality in that? Well, the banking system, it's okay for the big guys to get bailed out, but all these small folks who got, ramrodded because of the banks and the takeover and so forth, they weren't treated equally. Okay, so this goes on. But there is a middle class type of mentality. And because maybe they were of lower class and rose to the middle class, and because they now have things that they can do and buy, and they can go on a vacation, they can have a new car every other year or so or whatever, their kids can have decent clothes and go to a decent school, all these nice things, their house, they live in a decent neighborhood, yada, yada, yada. But the thing is that now that they've reached that middle class, anything below middle class then would be substandard to them because they become used to it. But all of us who have had to move into the lower class and out of middle class, we've had to learn how to be equal in a different right. Whole different ball game. You get $1,000 a month instead of $1,000 a week, and your whole perspective on the world changes. And your lifestyle changes. And what matters changes. I'm speaking from experience on my side, but I've known many other people. It was even worse for them. I was used to being poor. They weren't. They were middle class for 20 years. I made middle class for 3, and I was just happy to reach the lower end of it with my salary. But to the point, though, even I had become not necessarily snooty, but I had become comfortable in that I was making $850 a week bring home pay, and well over $1,000 a week, gross. And it's like, yay for me, right? But to the same point, it's like, but hang on here. You get used to something, and those people that you think are your equal are those people that you associate with in your middle class world. Now, is there anything wrong with that? No. But the middle class world is not the same as the lower class and or poor and or homeless. Not the same. So when you say, okay, middle class person, you're going to now equally share the same thing as a homeless person. And they're going to go, really? And you say, well, yeah, but to go into this golden age, we all must be equal. Yeah, but I worked for what I got. And what did they have? That's not the point. Everybody's going to have to change their view on what does this equality mean. Does equality really mean equality? Does equality mean in the terms of a middle class person? Does it what? And I'm not trying to. This is not about blame, but in living in different class structures, and living around different class structures, and watching different people and what they consider to be equality. Equality comes with a frame of mind. So if you have a middle class frame of mind, then equality will between people will differ from those who are above them and or below them. I bring this up because a lot of people are going to spend a lot of money this holiday season. And I just want to say, spend it for the right reasons. And for those folks who, are living in the now, okie dokie. But we should be looking forward. We should be looking to the golden age. I have spoke about this before, and it's important that people understand that it is important to look forward instead of spending a bunch of money and putting it on credit cards or just spending it on you're not sure why on stuff. Maybe you should just hang on to some of that money because in January or February or March of next year, something might happen. You might need that money. You might need those resources. And am I trying to be a Grinch who stole Christmas? No. But I'm asking you to think twice about what you're spending your money for. What's the reason? Does it really make sense? Is there something that you could do with that same amount of money, regardless of your class, that you could help someone else during this season? And my contention is every day is a holiday, and everybody should help everybody every day of the week. That's what equality should be. But this new age stuff, there are some people who are going to be very surprised when they need to change their views on what does equality mean. True equality. One human being to another, regardless of status, color, creed. Can you really accept another person honestly, equally, as your brother, sister, fellow human being? Can you honestly ask the question, that homeless person is equal to me? Can you say that? I know so because I know homeless people who didn't start out to be homeless. Their intention was never to be homeless. They didn't want to become a drug addict and live in a cardboard box. That wasn't on their list of things to do when they went before the jobs fair to choose their careers. Yeah, I'm going to pick that one. I'm going to live in a van down by the river. You know, okay. But is the person who does live in a van down by the river equal to someone who lives in a $250,000 home and who makes $70,000, $80,000 a year? Is that person equal to the person living in the van? Is the person in the van equal to the one? Folks are going to have to make this realization. This is a hard discussion for most people. It's going to be a hard discussion for a lot of people. But the question needs to be asked. Can you actually, from your heart, treat other people equally? Can you forget whatever it is status that you may have established in your social upbringing or whatever? Can you accept other people as your equals, regardless of their faults? Now, we got to understand that there are a lot of people who have faults. And because of the situations, we need to give them another opportunity. And I don't necessarily want to redeem is not really the right word for this, but to redeem themselves to their own spiritual being, to give them the opportunity to come back out of wherever they slid into. The fact that maybe they just live in a tiny home. I had friends of mine tonight stop by and talking about building tiny homes, and and I've got some really good ideas about how to make efficient space and so forth, and how big, and to allow folks who are homeless to have an inexpensive place to go that's small, neat, tidy, and so forth. Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Hooray! People are actually trying to do these things. There are movements in this underground you and me kind of thing, and it isn't about who's better or worse. These fine people are looking at it as, you know what? That person doesn't have a home, and I do. What's equal about that? Doesn't matter what they did or didn't do, what their social status is. These folks are looking at it, and I know a lot of people poo-poo Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter went around the world to provide habitat for humanity, because homeless people was a stupid idea. It still is. And, Carter's in his 90s. They live just up the road from me, kind of, sort of. And the idea that a peanut farmer from Georgia would travel around the world with his wife building houses and homes for people is like, what's wrong with that? Poo-poo Jimmy Carter all you want to. He's made more changes on this planet than any other human being. And by physically going and building homes with people and getting people involved, and folks saying, you know what? Some people really got a crappy deal. And to help bring them up to equal us, we're going to build them a decent small home for them to live in. Something that's energy efficient, something that'll keep them warm and dry, something, where they can call home, to bring things to equal. So we need to rethink this. Now, there are a lot of people out there who are thinking good thoughts. But I look at the money being spent on trivial bullshit for just this season alone, just to make big companies richer or let them stay in business. Like, I care that Sears opened too many stores and outgrew themselves. Should have been a little bit better business planning, but I digress. What if some of this money was actually used to help people? I mean, to buy lumber for tiny homes, to buy small pieces of property, to put little rental places on so people could have an inexpensive or possibly even free place to live for several months until they could get back on their feet again, to save up enough money to buy, to move into a bigger place, to get a job, whatever it needs to be. So many things, so many services we could provide for other human beings, when right now our focus is to buy, and then die. Buy everything you can now, because you just sold your soul, and you're going to die from all the waste and the things that were frivolous and not necessary. And folks go crazy this time of year. Got to have it. Max out the credit cards. They still haven't paid off the last one, but they got $500 on this one, and off they go to the store again. Charge it. What about humanity? Well, we're going to think about that after Christmas. No, let's think about humanity right now. Can you think equal? Well, I don't know. I'm middle class and I got this, and well, why should I worry about whether or not they have a home? I got to buy presents for Aunt Gloria and Uncle Jim Bob Jojo. Okay. Do you have a relative that's homeless? Do you have a relative that could use a set of tires on their car? Do you have a relative that's car's so beat up they can't drive it back and forth to work and they've lost 3 jobs because their car won't work? Is maybe you could fix it up. Maybe there's something you could do. Maybe that you could make whatever you do to help someone else become equal in this world, bring them up a level out of just obscure stupidity and squander of other people. A poor person. I mean, I've been there, and been so poor. My truck broke down. I'm out in the country. I can't even get to work. And people that I know had plenty of money to help me get my truck fixed or buy me a new starter or lend me the money or something, would just say, it's your problem. you know Screw equality, screw helping out somebody. Well, you're always late for work. Yeah, because my starter's busted on my truck and I can't save enough money up because I'm making $3 an hour and I can't afford it. But you live in a fancy home, took 4 vacations last year, and are complaining to me because my starter's broke and I'm too poor to fix it. But you talk about equality. I still don't get it. But the thing is that a lot of these people that I know are even more dead set in their ways. They've become middle class, but anything lower than middle class is not equal to them. But you go to church and you put your money in and you pray for equality and you speak about Jesus and the Bible and all this kind of stuff. But that right out the other side of your mouth, you say, well, yeah, but that's a homeless person. Well, that person, their cars broke down, and you point your finger at them and say, well, that person isn't equal to me. I'm middle class, and or I'm whatever you want to choose, and I'm just using middle class as just somewhere to be, just as an example or an excuse. But for these same people to talk out of either side of their mouth that, oh yeah, I think everyone is created equal, they don't have, no, they're lying to themselves, because being equal means equal in their part of society. Equal to, in the caste system in India, would be this caste. Everybody in this caste is equal. But if you're of the caste where you got to go around and clean everybody's poop, then you have structure within your own caste system, and there may be equality in that. But your caste system is not the same as these other two, and each one of them looks at the other one differently. So, but they're equal within their own caste system, but not any, and that's like lower, middle, or upper class. Okay, caste, class, kind of similar in that respect. But the thing is they're equal within their own realm of thinking. Well, I'm a Roman, so I'm going to think like a Roman, but a Greek is Greek, and all Romans are equal, but all Greeks aren't equal to Romans. I mean, pick your choice. So in this new age of thinking with some of these folk, they really need to dig deeper as to what equality really means. We need to look at this from a Star Trek, Star Wars, more of a Star Trek point of view, in the response that if you were a part of the Federation on Star Trek, that everybody, yes, you could be a lieutenant, but that means you went to school for it. But everybody was equal as far as being people. But, yeah, I'm okay. I can go get a PhD in history. That makes me a history buff. But does it make me better than the guy who knows how to work on the holodeck? No. But without a history teacher, professor, or person, the person who does the holodeck can't program it because he needs a history teacher to fill in the blanks and all the details. So everybody has an important job in this new equality. I mean, I think about Quark on Deep Space Nine, and he's running the bar, and all the Ferengi, they're equal, but only in certain areas, and but they're all Ferengi when it comes down to it. In the rest, in the Federation, so they all band together, and all Ferengis are equal because they're Ferengis. But when you get into the Ferengi class system, none of the Ferengi are equal. It's all about business, blah, blah, blah. But my point to that is that's a great example in what equality really means. Go watch Deep Space Nine and just kind of look, oh, there's this one, there's that, the Cardassians. Okay, but there's a class structure there. But is all Cardassians equal? No. And there's the higher uppity schmucks, and we need to get out of that. Everybody should be mayor. We should elect somebody to be mayor for 6 months, and then somebody else, okay, your turn. Everybody should be mayor, regardless of your or county commissioner, whatever. We should all have a job at this. We should all take a turn, so we all know how it works, and we can all get along. Because okay, a butcher, a painter, a candlestick maker, and a baker all have different views on what equality means, but they all want similar things. They all want decent food, they all want decent clothing, and they all want a decent house to live in. Can we all be equal in that? I say, yeah. But there are folks who are so ingrained in their own social structure at the moment. Of course, it has been this for a long time, but they're going to have a lot of difficulty really understanding equality. Their religion, they're going to be coughing up religious verses, and they're going to like, but wait a minute, but I thought that person's equal to me. Yeah, well, Jesus said, well, yeah, they're going to be just. I know some Methodists who are just going to be going, and we're going to say, quite frankly, to everyone, y'all were given the information. Y'all read the Bible. You listened supposedly to the word of Jesus. You supposedly knew what he was talking about. You supposedly were living in a Christian way, but then again, in your middle class way, only middle class people were equal. Everybody else is, well, they're just useless, whatever. I know a bunch of them that are just going to go, they're not going to know how to react. And whether you need Jesus to come down and say, I warned you, or it's the Christ consciousness that finally dawns on a lot of people. Maybe I've been led astray with this. Maybe the pastor was like, every one of you, was listening to the ones, every one of you are allowed to be prosperous. Jesus said it's good to be prosperous, and the prophet said it was good to be prosperous. But then if you read in Mark, Jesus said, sell your belongings and follow me. So where does being prosperous belong? In that, if you wish to go to heaven, then being prosperous, what are you being prosperous for? Are you being prosperous to share it with other people? Or are you being prosperous because some preacher told you it was okay? And it's all right to keep it for yourself. Jesus said it was okay to be prosperous. Jesus, the Bible says be prosperous and keep it, don't help the lepers. Oh, no, them lepers, they got sick on their own, Oh, my God, no. And the homeless, they deserve it because, they're drunken fools. But Jesus said you can be prosperous. The preachers. The liars. The religions that have twisted the truth. I just am still going to pray. We'll continue to pray. Continue to hope, because people are waking up, but they're waking up in different ways. And it's because of how they were raised and how those people who lost their middle class jobs and became poor now understand differently what equality really means. Us poor people who get $1,000 a month, we know what it's like to be equal poor people and retired slash old agers. Can't do anything, can't fix your vehicle, can't buy a new one, can't do this, can't do that, and you're stuck. Can't fix my truck, it costs too much. They don't send me enough money to get anything fixed. I got dilapidated things, and I'm just doing the best I can. And I accept what I do have and accept the fact that I still have a roof over my head. But could it be better? Absolutely. Could the Social Security have paid me what they agreed upon? They should. But there are rich people in Washington, D.C. that make these rules and laws that immigrants should be given the same rights as us people who've been here our entire lives in the United States. And for me, 40 years, or actually more than 40 years in the state of Georgia. And I'm still getting beat up, hit up, and county taxes and Georgia taxes. And oh my God, this and that and the other thing. You get kicked around. It's like, but I've been a resident of this state for the last 50 years. Do you mean to tell me you can't just accept that? Give me a little break here. I'm retired, been in the state. Don't I just get a little bit of credit for this? Well, we do get a free fishing license and hunting license, which is really a good deal, actually, for the rest of our natural born lives as seniors. But to the point, well, they try. So, but they could try in other ways too, like drop our property tax and let some of these millionaire folks pick up, that little bit that we have to struggle so hard to pay. Well, I don't want to sell my property. Hell no. I spent my whole life building this place and trying to stay here. And you want, well, Dave, sell your place, move into town. And then what? What? Rent a place? Maybe get thrown out. I can't do whatever I want to do on my own property because then it won't be mine. I don't, why would I want to leave here anyway? This is my home. I feel how old people are. They've spent their whole lives building up something, and folks come along and say, well, you're old now. Now you got to give it up. Why? They don't understand. I get it. They're going to find me dead on the floor here in my own house because I refuse to leave. And I say that might actually come true, but I'm not trying to be prophetic in that. It's just that I get it now. You work all your life for something and then they want to come and take it away for some dumb reason. Oh, but that's equality. Well, you old people, you worked all your lives and helped all us people get to where we are. And now that you're retired, now we're just going to turn our heads. You're not equal anymore. Lucy, we got some explaining to do to some of these people because they need to revalue and have a different point of view of what equality really means on so many different levels. And it's a lot harder for a lot of people to comprehend some of these things. I get it. I understand it. But it doesn't mean that I agree with their point of view because their point of view of equality just happens to exclude me and all of my folk friends in our class because we're poorer, we're retired, we're not equal. We're not equal. And well, okay, I get a break to go to the movies, but I can, even with the break in the price, I still can't afford to go to the movies. Can't afford the gas to get to town. Can't afford the ticket. Can't afford, Okay, equality. Why do I have to? And me and a lot of other folks like us, we've worked all our lives, and they cut us down to below poverty level, and they go, well, here's your Social Security. You get to live on crap for the rest of your life. And welcome to the world of severe and extreme poverty, where you are no longer equal because you passed 65. What? Now there's a whole new subclass of us retirees who were retired with substandard Social Security benefits. We were lied to, cheated. I left a video on Facebook, but Look up Greg Hunter in his last interview with Catherine Austin Fitts. $21 trillion hidden in black ops projects. $21 trillion. If I had $21 trillion, we'd have cross country railway type things. We'd have, whole enclaves of housing that was good with the ecology, economy, earth type dwellings, and it would be easy, and it would be cost effective, and people wouldn't be sleeping under bridges, and so many other things would be different. But $21 trillion. And that's what they found. Government waste. My Social Security, along with a lot of other people, we should be getting another $1,000 a month. But 21 trillion's missing into black ops. And our Social Security was dipped into back about 2007, 2008. And so all of us seniors are now suffering from that. Why don't we get a raise? Why don't some others take a cut in pay? Why do senators get, because they are senators, they get lifetime crap, and their retirement is like, what is it? It takes about 6 years, one term, and depending on how they spent their money, they would have made $1 million in one term, 6 years, basically from their salaries. Or close to it. Now, yeah, they got to spend it and they're playing fair and all, but my point is they will make it, and it's you and me that's paying for it. And it's a lot of us seniors who are suffering for it. Can't get dental care, can't get this and that, can't get basic services. But, we're equal in the United States, aren't we? As long as you're in the right class. You're equal within your class structure. But I guarantee, I've worked for rich people, I mean, millionaires, and they look at middle class folk like middle class folk look at the poor folk. The rich folk are rich and you can't touch them. And everybody else is just fodder. I don't care if you make $100,000 a year to a millionaire, you're a peasant, you're a pauper. I've heard them sit around and have high tea and discuss it while I was working on their houses. Yes, it exists. But people who have been snobbish all their lives, we'll say, who have always had the money, never really, I went to college and got a job, but you got a job making $100,000 a year. I went 2 years of college and got my degree, and I started a job out at $20,000 a year. My education was probably just as important as the other person's. I had 15 years of experience to go along with my 2-year degree, and that's what made me a good engineer. But to the point, though, because I didn't have a master's, I was automatically delegated regardless of what my skills were. And I proved to them many times how many millions of dollars. But to the point, though, because I wasn't a master's degree, even though they fired people with master's degree and kept me, I still wasn't worth being lower middle class in their society. I was still looked down upon, even though they came to me to fix their freaking problems. So, I mean, I'm in the system. There are people who are just in there and they go, well, because I'm here and this is my class structure, we're all equal in my little world here. But sorry, but you don't fit into ours. Well, I don't care. You don't fit in. Yeah, but I've been working for you for 7 years. Yeah, but you still don't qualify. You still don't fit into our group, Dave. So 40,000 is the best you're going to do. That's but I make 150, but that's okay. You're making 40 grand, and that's enough for you. I was told that to my face. You make enough. What? Save a tier one company millions of dollars. Oh, but 40 grand's enough for you. But I make 150, but that's what they should pay me. Wait a minute. Where's the equality in this? There isn't. It's a state of mind. So a lot of folks going to have to change their state of mind point of view. And okay, yes, I'm bitching. I'm bitching because I didn't get the share they promised me, meaning Social Security. I should be making at least $500 more a month than I am, which would help me greatly, I might add. I'm supposed to be making $1,450 to $1,500 a month on Social Security. I make $1,000. So who's getting the other $500 a month? It ain't me, Jack. That's wrong. Our government did that, doing it to a lot of us old timers. Well, we're only going back so many years, and so you took a cut and pay these last 7 years. We're going to base what we pay you on what you paid in the last 7 years. Well, what about the other 50 years I paid into Social Security? We're not counting that anymore. We're only going back 10 years. Well, for the last 7 years, I've had to work at frickin' Walmart. But 20 years before that, I was an engineer. We don't count that anymore. What? That's what they did. They changed it. Equality? Going to have to be some rethinking. Now, it says there's some viewers in the chat room. I cannot view the chat room. I'm trying a new YouTube thing out here. It's the other format. Anyway, I just wanted to see how it was going to turn out and what was going to show up and not. Chrome did it to me again with this upgrade stuff, and everything looks different again. The YouTube's working different on the thing. I don't know. It'll take me a few days to figure it out. But with that said, though, just when you have conversations with other people and ask them, what does equality mean to you? And don't well, do you mean equality between? No, just say, what does, in the Bible is, everybody should be treated equal. Or what is your definition of what is equality? Ask your friends and neighbors, ask your relatives. Just pose the question. Well, is a brain surgeon, he went to school to operate on brains, is he more important than a plumber? Well, if the doctor's plumbing gets backed up, his whole family suffers. And what's to say that when crap backs up, because I've done plumbing work, when crap backs up, people will pay you quickly because that shit's backed up, and they want the smell gone. They want their toilet to flush. They don't want it coming up in their tub. Yeah, that happens too sometimes. But with the point though, it's like, so who is more important at the time, the brain surgeon or the plumber? Are they both equal? They're both skilled in their trades. One can take shit out of your brain and the other one can clear the shit out of your clogs in your pipes. Who's more valuable? Are they both equal? Well, some plumbers make more money than some brain surgeons. But my point is, all plumbers don't even look at other plumbers as equal. Other brain surgeons don't look at other brain surgeons equally. It's what? It's going to take a lot of more spiritual awakening for some of these people to understand this. Those of us on our particular paths, those of you who tune in and listen to my ramblings on, I think you get this. And if nothing else, I'm just putting out a thought. Toss this in your head. Let this roll around. Shake and rattle a couple of marbles in your head and think about this. Because if we are going to drag these folks with us into the golden age, they're going to have to understand some of these basics, these transition basics. Can you think of another person as being your equal? Regardless of what they know or don't know, can you look at them as an equal person? It's going to be a hard one. And as I look around and watch just society as a whole, there's got a lot of explaining to do to some folks to understand what this means. So with that, I'm going to cut this one. I can't see your anything in the chat room. This version won't let me do it. I'll figure it out. But I did want to put this video out and give folks the option. And you know, I just want folks to stop and think. You know, and this new age means we're going to have to treat each other equally. And I see some folks, man, oh man, they're going to have to stay in the kiddie pool a while. And I don't mean to be rude, but they just refuse to think that people can be equal unless they're in their same class. And I mean, socially or whatever, even spiritually, you know. I mean, there's some Bogarts out there like, well, you're not as spiritual as I am, therefore you're not as equal. You know, you can't channel 5 different entities. And I'm like, oh, stop it. The fact that you're aware, the fact that you're understanding that there is a higher self, the fact that you wish to achieve a higher self, that's all great. And those are all positive things. And each person's got to learn in their own respect. But at the same time, to be criticizing somebody else, well, your way's not right. Now, I have cautioned people, be careful what y'all doing. Some of you folks out there trying to, you know, walk in the darkness, and you're going to walk between worlds, and that's all right. But some of you folks out there are being dangerous with it. And it's not that you shouldn't do it, it's how you're doing it. Yes, you should explore. Yes, you should expand your mind and your spiritualness. But there's our rules to go by so that you don't get hurt, so that you're safe, so that you will learn how to do these things properly. You know, I've had my conversations about shamanism, and there are certain things you need to understand before you move to the next phase. You know, if you can't print your name, you're not supposed to go to 2nd grade. If you can't, you know, spell cat or dog, you should stay in the 1st grade. There's just certain things you need to have certain understandings before you go to the next step. That's all. But if you don't have the basics, if you can't understand the basics on a basic level even, then you're going to have to stay back until you get it. You're going to have to keep printing your name on the blackboard or whatever it may be until you learn how to do it. That's not to be mean. It's not to be subjective that you're no good. And I have a learning disability, and I have my own way of picking things up. And I've had difficulty in school, as a lot of other children do. But that doesn't make me stupid. I just have a different way of learning. And that's some of the things that we as adults and other, you know, as a society, you know, with this core value dumb shit in the education system, that needs to get gutted. And we need to look at how we educate anybody these days, you know, and what the structure is, because it's the teacher's point of view. Now, I had some good teachers and I had some crappy teachers, and the crappy teachers, I refused to listen to their point of view. So therefore I got lower grades, and it affected me in the long run because I didn't like what the teacher's method or how they were, whatever. But the teachers who were enjoyable, I learned a lot. I learned more than just English. I learned about other things. And, you know, so it's like, because it's enjoyable. And especially when you pick something you like. But simply because somebody likes history and somebody else likes math doesn't mean that they're not equal. They're still human beings. They just have different talents. And we need to understand that. Simply because we have different talents doesn't make one talent better than another. Sometimes we need brain surgeons, and sometimes we need plumbers. Sometimes we need a damn good auto mechanic, you know, but who, you know, the brain surgeon can't get to the operating room if his car ain't working. So, okay, is the mechanic worth more or less than the brain surgeon? Or should they be equal? You get my drift? One can't work without the other. What about the people who provide electricity, who work at the electric plant, for example? Should their salaries be less because they work at the electric plant and make sure that all the dynamos and everything's working and peak hours, and if somebody's electricity goes off, that the line crews are you know, notified right away? Is anybody else less equal in the grand scheme of things? Well, you say, well, the heart surgeon, he needed that electricity so that yeah, but what about all the people who provided the electricity? What about the janitor and the maintenance men in the hospitals that keep things running so that the surgeon can do a surgeon's job and do it well? But so everybody that supports it underneath is no good, that they're valued less than the surgeon? Everybody's equal because everybody through the whole system contributed to the lights being on in the operating room so that the surgeon could do his job. But it doesn't work that way. But we need to start looking at it that way. In an anthill, now, okay, people are going to say, well, it's a hive mind. Well, in so many words, we do kind of work in a hive mind situation. But in an anthill, all the ants are equal. They're all ants. They all get the same. They're all ants. Now there are the bull ants. They're the guys that guard the queen. There's the ones that move the eggs around. Everybody's got a different task, but they're all ants. They're basically all the same. Now, I'm not saying that we should, all become ants in this, but we should look at that and say, without the plumber, without the electrician, without the guys at whatever power station it is, the surgeon couldn't be a surgeon. So should one be placed above the other? No, because without the whole system of equality, which is non-existent, if we were all equal in this, then the plumber, the baker, the candlestick maker, the electrician, the guys at the power plants, we all share in this because each person in their respective areas contributed to the doctor saving a life in an operating room. Does that make us equal? That's a different point of view. And people are going to have to change their point of view. You can't be a doctor without all these other people. You can't be a nurse without other people and without a doctor needing your assistance. I mean, everything is linked in ways, but people, when they're on the up looking down, I'm the doctor and everybody else is below me. Wrong. If you don't have your support group, you ain't shit, dude or dudette. You can't be a surgeon without all of your support help. And in that, we are all equal. Because when everybody's working in a hospital together to save a life, you're working as a team. Nobody is better than the next guy when you're all trying to save a life because it's a team effort in that respect. So in that, the entire team, everybody's equal because they all have a job to do. And if one person slips or doesn't do their job correctly, the team fails. I don't give a damn how good the surgeon is. If the team isn't there to help support him, he's not a very good surgeon. He's not going to save a life. So we need to look at this differently. We're all equal in this because we all have a part to play in this, regardless of our social status. That needs to go away. And that's going to be a hard pill for folks to swallow. We should be thankful that the good Lord gave us talents so that we could be a brain surgeon or a good engineer in my case. And I could fix a bunch of stuff, man. But I also gave credit to Creator and to the higher beings that helped me out of tight jams when other engineers told me, that can't be done, Dave. And then 3 months later, I proved that, well, we did it. But I didn't think it could be. Yeah, I know you didn't think it could be done. And I just figured there's got to be a way to make it happen. You guys just, can't happen. And I'm like, but why not? Well, because. And I made it work anyway. Very complicated piece of machinery held to some really tight tolerances, but the damn things work like a charm. When these other, and I'm talking Ford engineers and Chrysler engineers, it was more Ford than Chrysler, but I digress. In that they just said it couldn't be done. No, can't be done, can't be done. And I took the other approach. Of course it can. I just haven't figured out how. We need to figure out how. with these social structures, how to rearrange things to where everybody, it with you know, the manager of the tire company, if he doesn't have people to put and mount the tires on the vehicles and to do the rotating and the front end work, his tire business ain't going to be squat because he can't do it by himself. He needs a secretary to answer the phone. He needs somebody out there to help him with the shop. He needs somebody, but could he change tires on his own? Yeah, but he's going to be a poor man because he can't do any volume. But at the same point, should he pay all his workers the same? Because if he didn't have a bunch of people changing tires, he wouldn't be selling them. He couldn't be making any money. So I see these people, and it's like they only deserve a certain amount of money. But me being the owner, I get paid 10 times more than you. And it's like, but if you didn't have those workers, you wouldn't make 10 times more than they are. Well, it's because I'm the owner and I'm a good manager. Yeah, but it's because the guy's changing the tires that are making you the money. Oh, well, I can get anybody to change tires. Oh, so we're not equal in this. Pick something. Now, I would say that in the clothing industry or even in groceries, there's less, but it's still there. The main grocer, my pops was a meat cutter. He was the manager of the meat department for like 15 years for a now defunct uh, uh, food store chain back in the 60s and 70s, and maybe even into the 80s. But to the point, though, the meat, he got a lot more money. Of course, he was the manager and had seniority, but he made a lot more money than the other meat cutters. And because he was the manager of the meat department, he made more money than the other grocers and so forth. But at the same point, his salary wasn't so grossly more than the rest of them. And there was more equality within that system than there is in others, like carpenters and other type people anyway, but in the trades. But to the point, though, every class, pick a plumber, candlestick maker. Everybody's going to have their own idea of what equality is, no matter what it is. But that's society. And that's the societal change we're going to have to change. So with that, I need more coffee. I got to turn the heater back on. I turn it on for 30 minutes or so, keep the house from getting too cold. I've been too lazy to. The wood got wet over yesterday's rain, and I'm like, man, I don't want to try to start a fire tonight at 2 o'clock in the morning with wet wood. Yeah, I'm just gonna turn the heater on for 30 minutes and warm the house up a little bit, and I'll go out tomorrow and get some of that and get the wood will be more dry tomorrow, and then I can make a real fire. But anyway, just wanted to say that I do love you all. Have these thoughts, have conversations with other people, because regardless of where you are in the spiritual realm, if you don't understand what equality means, then you're going to get stuck on the path to that enlightenment. How can you go into the next realm if you're going to think you're better than somebody else? I mean, you may have more talent, but then that puts a responsibility on you that if you have more talent, then you should share that talent, not charge more for it or make it less acceptable or accessible to other people. Well, I'm famous now and I can't afford you. Well, that's because I'm so damn good. Oh, stop it. We need to change these ideas. So I wish you all blessings, cosmic hugs from the universe. As always, I leave you with a prayer. I pray that every one of you will accept and receive the healings from the Creator. I pray that every one of you, your friends, your neighbors, your family, your acquaintances, your relatives, and all of your relations, that you will accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, and all of the wonderful blessings from the Creator. Creator is always there. Creator involves all religions. Source energy is always available to every single one of us for healing, for knowledge, and for wisdom. So with that, I say thank you all. I'm sorry I can't read the chat room if anybody's here. So I'm going to work this out and try to figure out what's wrong with this setting here in YouTube again. But with that, I say I love you. Take care of yourself and have a good Tuesday. We'll find out what ET says tomorrow evening, and hopefully I'll do an update tomorrow on some other woo-woo for everybody. So be safe, everybody.